Now I'm going to invite speakers of our next segment. The next segment is about workplace environment. The first person I'm going to invite is Shikha Mehta. Her topic is workplace and managing relationships. She's been a corporate leader for over 20 years of experience working across global organizations where success has depended not just on delivering results but on working through people. She has spent much of her career navigating the realities of workplace. Shikha Mehta.
Hi everyone, thanks Tapasya. And I don't know how to interpret the fact that I am following an announcement for shopping in a room full of women. So I hope I can keep your attention, given all the vendors that are available here. So first of all, let me ask a question. Imagine you get up in the morning, get ready, walk out the door, and feel like you have a little scar on your face. You're walking into an important meeting, knowing that you have this really ugly looking thing on your face. How do you show up in that meeting, in that moment? I can promise you, it's not confident. Any thoughts? Anybody felt like they had a little spinach stuck somewhere, or maybe my hair doesn't look right? So in 1980, actually, Dartmouth did a study. And in that study, they had two sets of people. One, just a control group. The second group had a scar painted on their face. And the two groups were sent into the real world to meet some important people. There were interviews, they had to go out and meet different people, and then they were both brought back, and both the groups were asked the same set of questions about how they felt. How did they think the meeting went? Of course, the control group, felt okay. They had some observations, they had some insights. The group that had a scar painted on their face came back really upset. They said they felt judged. People didn't treat them right. They felt that they hated them, they were not good, etc., etc., etc. Except, before the group that had the scar painted on their face, the scar had been removed by makeup artists. They just thought they had a scar on their face. Think about that for a moment. And the reason I bring this up in a conversation around relationships is a two-way street. And the first relationship starts with us. And for me, when I read about this experiment, that was a turning moment for me. Because a woman of color, a certain age, we all tell ourselves all these stories. We hear about microaggressions, we hear about biases, and we carry all that baggage with us in all of our relationships. So first, before we get into a conversation or think about how to manage workplace conflict, how to manage workplaces, we have to first understand who we are and how we show up. So with that, how do we show up and where do we go with the relationships? If you don't mind, if you can go back, please. Yeah, sorry, next, this is. So as you look at knowing yourself, I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. Yeah. Next over. One more. Perfect. So now looking at building relationships and managing relationships at work, it's a lot of investment. It's a real investment. We hear the term networking, it's become a buzzword, or it is a four-letter word depending on who you are and which side of the fence you're on. In my personal experience, networking has been a little bit different. It's been an investment in terms of how I'm showing up and what kind of time and curiosity I'm bringing to the table. And the example I want to bring forward, and for me that was one of the moments that shifted things for me. A lot of us who are in work, we have mentors, we have mentees, and we do all kinds of different things, and we think about who do I connect with, how do I go into my next assignment, how do I grow in my business, etc., etc. At work, they were bringing in fresh graduates or interns, and they had introduced a program called reverse mentoring, wherein you had new graduates come in and mentor you versus the other way around. So it was a little bit of a two-way relationship. So I had this mentee who was coming in, I think it was from Northeastern. He was really smart with AI, and this was like 7-8 years ago when we were really just thinking about AI and what it meant for us. Through my conversations with him, he started to talk about AI, and I started to get really interested in it. And our conversations became really cool because he was coming in with this fresh set of eyes and knowledge, etc. I was helping him with his career and such. And that ended up into me developing this really strong interest in AI and then landing my next big opportunity at work. The reason it was cool was he wasn't someone who was an executive vice president or the CEO of the company. He was a 21, 22-year-old fresh graduate from college. That one relationship was very pivotal in my life, not just for that one opportunity, but for what I'm doing today. So that to me is networking, and that to me is the investment within a relationship at work, especially if you're open, especially if you're walking in with curiosity. Now, when you have relationships, networking, when I say networking is a tip, it means, to me, networking is casting a wide net to meet new people. Not with the intention in terms of how they will help us grow, but to just be curious, because every relationship, every meeting is a chance to learn something. Like I learned so much today already, like within 30 minutes of joining in here. So when you build these relationships, they do inadvertently lead to conflict. And that's where a lot of the mental health comes in. So think about walking in with a scar on your face, or thinking you have a scar on your face. Now you bring in new people, new interests, and you bring the two together, and there is bound to be conflict at some point, no matter which relationship you're in, right? Go to the next one. So the piece that I have found the most helpful is, when conflict does occur, it needs to be addressed. And it needs to be addressed swiftly, directly, and respectfully. What does that mean? So first of all, everybody hates conflict, and God knows I am probably the one who hates it the most. I'd rather not have to deal with it. I don't want to give people bad messaging. I don't want to give people poor performance reviews. I don't want to tell them, because it is just hard. It is hard to look someone in the eye as they tear up when you deliver something hard, because you're telling somebody that somebody didn't do something right. But guess what happens if you don't address it? With the doctors in the room, they know that the first time a symptom starts, when you don't address it, it tends to become something really big. And relationships, it is super critical, and it's really important. So first of all, direct feedback is very important, and it needs to be given in the moment. And in the moment doesn't mean in a large group of 20 people to tell someone, oh my gosh, I cannot believe you missed the deadline. But you can't also say, well, it seems like some of the deadlines are getting missed. I don't know what's going to happen. What should we do about it? But giving feedback directly to perhaps say, we've now had 2 instances of deadlines being missed. This is the impact on the project. How can I help you? A basic conversation which is direct, actionable, and respectful is important. So building those relationships are hinged on conflict, because I know for a fact that when I was early on in my career, every time I saw conflict, Sometimes I saw this as defensiveness, other times I saw it as they just don't like me, or that they're just bad people. And none of that is usually true. If we focus less on intent and more on outcome, it tends to go very differently. And I'm saying all of these things, and the thing that I keep thinking, the little voice in my head keeps saying, there's a line in one of my favorite books by one of my favorite authors, Richard Bach. The book is called Illusions, and there's a line in there, we teach best what we most need to learn. So I'm standing here in front of you saying all these things when I know I am the biggest student of my conversation here. But anyways, to kind of close it out, if there's nothing you walk away from here, there are three things I really want us to think about. Is one, self-awareness. The next time you walk into a meeting, think about what scars, baggages, etc. you're carrying, and remind yourself to not see that meeting with that baggage and that lens. Be in that moment to receive that meeting for what it is. Number two, networking is not a four-letter word if it's used right, because all of us are wherever we are because of the network we had, the mentors we had, the friends we had, the professional relationships we had. So networking is not a four-letter word if it is used purposefully and intently. And finally, speak candidly. Give feedback, receive feedback, and make sure that whatever you do, wherever you leave, that you're leaving with the right messaging and right baggage and close out successfully. Thank you.